Well, everyone, let's get talking tonight. We're going to focus our attention on the politics of River State. The South-South region. River State is one of it. Akwa Ibom State, Delta State, Cross River State, Edo State. Well, if you look at the electoral map, it gives you an understanding of how it currently stands pre-2019 elections, but a lot has changed. Has changed in the sense that, the South-South region is unique in every sense. One, it's been a lot of the states in the South-South region have been regarded as traditional PDP states. Well, they probably proved that in the 2019 governorship election when all of these green states remained green and they went back to the PDP. For example, Delta State. Delta State, where Akwa retained the seat, got re-election. If you look at it again, in Akwa Ibom State, Emmanuel Udom retained the seat. And if you look at in Cross River State, Ayade retained the seat. So out of the 6 states of the South-South region, about 4 of them went into an election. Bayelsa and Edo did not conduct governorship election in the South-South region, but the 3 states went to the PDP. And these are some of the states that both are being traditional PDP states. There's been a lot of issues, though, as regarding the situation in the state post the election, and in fact, what went down during the election. So tonight, we'll be talking about the South-South region of the country and the politics, the issues that generated from the governorship election. Joining me from our Abuja studio, my partner tonight, which shall be dissecting these issues, is a member of the APC, a chieftain of the APC and a former lawmaker, Mr. Cletus Obon. And beside him is a spokesperson of the PDP in Akwa Ibom State, Mr. Emamambong. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming tonight on the program. There's been a lot of issues, Mr. Cletus Obon. I know we've discussed the politics of South-South state, but it does look like the PDP has a stronghold in most of the states, except for Edo State, where governorship election was not conducted, and of course, that of Bayelsa State. But in all of the states, aside River State, where the election is suspended, the 3 other states, PDP has won those states. What has become of your party in South-South?
Well, I think it is a reclamation program and restoration of the South-South. What we have gotten in the South-South is a constant decimal and repetition of what has happened to us over history. And for us to get Cross River State, Akwa Ibom State, and River State, we will need to go back to the drawing board. That drawing board is not going to come overnight. Clearly, the residual knowledge of our states will show that the political economy of the South-South is predicated on the center. And that center ought to have shifted in 2019. But I do think that the political actors in the South-South played their game in a manner that prepared them for the result they got. What is the reason? What became for us a plus in 2015 has become a minus for us in 2019. The reason being that the blending process of the players and actors in the South-South region in the opposition PDP was faster and more consolidated than that of the APC members. Therefore, what has happened to us in the South-South is simply a coagulation, a coalition of very, very strange bedfellows trying to blend into a team. And we have gotten the result, and I think 2023 will change the recurrent decimal that the South-South has become, given that the center presently, having just changed for 4 years, is not going to have given us a different result. South-South will definitely overcome because it is a progressive region. Don't forget the Civil War. Don't forget also NPN. And don't think that PDP will remain in the South-South given the kind of forces, especially and essentially the centripetal and the centrifugal forces that have come to play within the last 4 years. And I think that our national chairman, Adams Oshemole, is going to clearly make the difference in the next 4 years. I want to thank everybody and want to say that it is not to hulu for PDP.
Honorable Cletus Obon, if I may butt in quickly, there's been allegations from your party, from the South-South region, in states like Akwa Ibom, in states like Cross River State. In fact, some of the candidates had rejected the exercise there. But if you look at Edo State, for example, in state of the national chairman, you lost 2 senatorial seats in Edo State, for example, and your members are saying that the elections were not fair against your party. Is that true?
Now, let me say this to you. I speak now first as a Nigerian Democrat. If anybody is going to go by the tradition and history of our politics, you expect that the South states members of APC should tap onto the national grid, which is the central power which we got 2 weeks before that election after the postponement. Therefore, for anybody to cry foul now, coming from APC, it may be justified in certain areas because you cannot pigeonhole and expect that what happened in Akwa Ibom is what happened in Cross River State. You must take the peculiarities of these states. In Cross River State, in Akwa Ibom State, in River State was completely decimated by the forces that played out between Abe and the Minister of Works. But in Cross River State, we had everything going for us until the president was sitting in Calabar in his presidential campaign and saw clearly 2 candidates in spite and despite the effort of the national chairman. I want to tell you that APC didn't prepare itself. If there was an intervention and interruption, it was not in any way having to do with external forces.
Let's allow Mr. Emema Bongo to coming into the conversation. In Akwa Ibom State, where you are from, there's been a lot of allegations of what played out, especially coming from the APC. They did say the elections there were not fair, that your party simply twisted the opposition APC.
Well, Sean, you would understand that in the theories of liberation, especially political liberation theories, that people see basically 2 sets of oppressors, the external oppressors and the internal oppressors. And therefore, how the Akwa Ibom people, the traditional Akwa Ibom people, view, with the greatest respect, the people who populate that party, the APC in Akwa Ibom, they see them as the internal oppressors who are in alliance with the external oppressors to rob them of their God-given wealth. Don't forget, we have a history in resource control. Akwa Ibom people have always been a fighting people. They fight intellectual wars. In the early start of this democratic experience, Akwa Ibom, under the leadership of Architect Obong Victor Atta, led the battle for the resource control because we saw external oppressors coming. It didn't matter whether they were members of our party. We clearly distinguish oppression from political alliance. And therefore, as we sit today currently, the question on the mind of the Akwa Ibom person has been, what has the center done for us? And that question is answered clearly in the negative, absolutely nothing. So today, the people who are aligned to some extent with my brother here, the people who brought the APC, were the same people who demarketed the APC when they were in the PDP. It was Senator Godswill Akpabio who said that the party of the president, as currently constituted, wanted to take our land, wanted to take our water, wanted to take our resources. And therefore, when he crossed over, has he de-evangelized? Remember that we took that and we saw manifest evidence. The road crisscrossing from Cross River to Akwa Ibom has not been made. So therefore, so what is the attraction of the Akwa Ibom person to that government at the center? Absolutely nothing. So people who complain, it is normal that when someone loses, in fact, I'm seeing a different kind of person in the Honorable seated here, which I would like to be friends with him. When people lose, they feel bad. They console themselves. And no one
Mr. Let me pause you for a moment. Let me pause you for a moment. We'll go for a short break. And when we come back, allegations, a whole lot of them from the APC in Akwa Ibom State, and of course, the situation that played out in the South region. We have a lingering election, suspended one in River State, and more to talk about right here on the program. Join us again, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us right here on Politics Today on Channels Television. Well, the politics of South region of the country gets us talking tonight, and we're dissecting the situation. Well, the APC wants an inroad into the South region. Out of the 6 states, the APC currently controls 1 state, that is Edo State. There's been a lot of battle over River State. In the other 3 states where elections held, in the region, PDP took hold of those 3 states, Cross River, Akwa Ibom, and Delta State. Tonight, we're dissecting the situation in some of these 3 states and perhaps some of the things that generated controversies outside of that election. Let's get back to the conversation. My partner tonight, Mr. Obong, the spokesperson of the PDP in Akwa Ibom State, and Mr. Cletus Obun, a former lawmaker and an APC chieftain, also from that region, from Cross River. Thank you so much, everyone, for being part of the show tonight. I paused you for a moment, Mr. Mbong, before we took that break. And some of the issues that came up, and if you hear the allegations that came from the APC, part of it was that there was an orchestration that was planned against the APC, one of which was the issue of the use of some of the officials who are obvious members of your party that participated as ad hoc officials in that election. Those are the allegations. And they say that the elections was rigged against them. A case in point is that of Senator Godswill Akpabio, where he alleged that the results were manipulated.
Well, Sean, there are empirical facts to this. You see, when I talked about the concept, the theories of political liberation, when people begin to see you as the oppressor, what they do is to switch. Because when they discover that it's their power, under the social contract theory, it's the aggregation of the individual powers of these powerless people that gives you the power to oppress them. They simply remove that power from you, which is what happened in Ikot Senatorial District. Shown the same man who talked about Warsaw, who preempted to the world that the federal might would arrive at Akwa Ibom like the German invasion of Poland, is the same man who is complaining about how would you have been rigged out when you change commissioner of police at his bequest. Commissioners of police do a change left, right, and center at his bequest. Army personnel do a change. Now, in 10 local government areas, the results are there, they are manifest. He didn't go for campaigning, his own campaign in any of those places. He never went for consultation in any of those places because he took the people for granted. He did not understand that when he had blackmailed and had painted the party APC as the den of oppressors, he was now seen by the people as one of the oppressors. So there was need for reaction. Shown in 8 of those local governments, the gap that his opponent, who came out of political retirement to beat him, a former deputy governor, who has just received his certificate of return, was massive. He won with a slight margin in Ikot and used excessive force to even win. Who would we accuse of rigging? Who would accuse him? Who interfered with the collation processes? Who, the night before, ballot materials were taken and kept in his residence? Who will we be accusing of rigging?
Let me allow Mr. Obon to come in here.
Shall we complain that...
Honorable Obon, would you agree with what Mr. Mbong is saying about what played out in Akwa Ibom, for example?
Well, let me say this to you. Very frankly, I say this first as a Nigerian and before I speak as an APC member. I'm here as an APC member, but I won't be talking out of the box. The facts before us are that a lot of undermining processes and a lot of internal crises were precipitated by the actors in this region. And for a region that was in urgent and imminent need of an inroad into such an area, what was one of the first things to do in political relations is personal and intercommunal and intergroup interest aggregation. We never had that in Cross River, in Akwa Ibom. Now, about rigging, if you had a sitting president who had just won his election 28 days before, 2 weeks, 14 days before, and you are the one complaining of rigging, clearly there is something wrong. I have sat in opposition in Cross River State for 16 years as chairman of the opposition, and no man in Cross River can challenge this fact, that I sat as chairman of opposition. Therefore, when I speak with Akwa Ibom. I will call names in Akwa Ibom. Obong Akpan, the engineer. He is the president of the Ibom Union. He was president of the Ibom Union before now. And several others, AVM, several of them, and my schoolmates and colleagues in the university who are commissioners in PDP. One of the things I will concede is that we never prepared for the kind of tsunami that swept us because we undermined a lot of factors. I mean, APC in the South-South region, especially the actors that came in, they came with some form of empty arrogance without taking into cognizance the pillars and foundation members that kept the party that they came to meet. And therefore, in planning against a sitting government, they were not used to the formula that will deal with those who are to come. So even the instruments available to them were underutilized, never utilized, consultations were never made, and therefore, what we have seen is to prepare for 2023 rather than lament about rigging. If anybody had powers to rig, it was the APC that had powers to rig. We had the federal might, everything was made available in terms of finances, in terms of popularity, in terms of engagement. We had a sitting president. Therefore, I do think that in all humility, what we need to do is for people to go back and do a rethink and ask themselves basic questions about what went wrong. The Bible will tell you, don't remove the old boundary stones. It's an abomination. The old boundary stones in Akwa and Cross River State were removed, and therefore, the people revolted and asked themselves, what is our take in this present dispensation if these people who are coming that my friend will call political migrants have come in here to usurp
let's allow Mr. Obong to come back into the conversation now. There's been a lot of issues, especially within the region. As it stands right now, with what has played out, especially the role that some of the people in your region will be playing in the National Assembly, what do you make of what is happening? If someone like Senator Godswill Akpabio goes to court, are you afraid that he might get justice and perhaps get his mandate, just as he has said, that he's going to get back the seat, like he has said?
Well, certainly, we are not afraid. The courts were created for a time like this, the tribunal. That's why I'm even happy that when I heard that he went to an ordinary court, I began to wonder. I recall that my former boss is a learned gentleman and ought to have known that the jurisdiction does not lie in that court. But thank goodness that he has retraced his steps and he will be headed to the tribunal. The tribunal would do justice according to law. Law would be based on the facts. It's the application of the facts of what happened. So I'm certain that the court will not want to overturn the wishes of the people freely given. However, in our consideration, in the consideration of the people from his senatorial district, there is only one direction that they hope that the distinguished senator should go to, which is his home. That is where he should go to. If the APC, now, going towards that, what the APC did, which was their greatest undoing, was the elevation of human beings into institutions. You cannot convert a single human being into an institution. You come to Akwa Ibom, you think that if you have Senator Akpabio, you have the entire state. No, there is nobody who alone can control the entire state. So that is why the people voted for liberation and told the APC that, seriously, this cannot be so. You went to Delta State and had Uduagan, and you think that with Uduagan, Delta will fall. No, it can't work that way. What will work in a political setting is the aggregation of individual interests of those who are in a political party into a homogeneous interest that can face war. Because war, the political war coming, will begin to attempt to decimate. Before the elections of the governorship, APC candidates, House of Reps, and some citizens were already wanting to join the PDP. Some even defected. Because in the process of aggregating these things, their interests were not taken into consideration. Therefore, we
need to go now. Thank you so much, Mr. Ini Obong and Honorable Cletus Obong. Thank you so much for talking to us. Well, that's our time tonight on the program. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I'm sure. Bye-bye.